Hour 2 Overdrive continues, brought to you by FanDuel, bringing you everything from the opening line to the final score. Bryan Hayes, the old dog, Jeff O'Neill, Jamie Noodles McLennan, and Luke Willson in studio. Pro athlete salute. This is getting really obnoxious and really.
Yes, my party. Yes.
What's your hashtag again?
Execute.
Yeah.
Oh, I love
it's
See,
really
we
ugly.
go by a bunch of Bartsy. By the way, we were straight up. You can apologize for the Niners.
Yeah, 100%. That's you had the call right there. I wasn't feeling it. We should have won your pick. We could have been double digits. And it's bad. It's bad ball because we need to stomp on the throats of the dying dog, which is Hayes and Bro.
No.
And it's on me, but we'll rebound tonight. We'll rebound tonight.
And don't forget, you remember what our new motto is. I texted it today.
Oh, do I ever? Hayes and Co. is a fraud. Yes, they
It's
are.
worse than that. It's worse than that.
It was very offensive. I did not like it at all. And Al's brother's been awfully quiet today. I haven't heard a peep at Al's brother.
And he doesn't have nothing. He's got nothing. He's got he can't even make up a comeback to make it seem like he's angry.
But
That's the disappointing thing, Hayes.
It's
You
very
guys
disappointing.
were screaming all over Twitter.
Yeah.
It's crickets now.
It's really quiet.
It's crickets.
Tim Boyle jammed us up.
Haven't won since.
We have not picked a winner since Tim Boyle. Boyle on our resume, Boyle on our takes. It's
You
gone.
had an opportunity.
Boil on your ass.
Boyle on our
You had an opportunity to make the greatest call of OverDrive history,
I know.
and it would have been a 2-point swing.
I know.
Really a 3-point swing. Instead of 9, it'd be 6.
I can't tell you how sick I was.
Your
watching
own
that game.
team.
And what I learned last night was that if you're going to go down with the ship, go down with the ship. And I might as well. I love the Packers last night. I love them to cover. I love them to win outright. I said it on Jay. I saw you guys play that clip. I appreciate that because I've had a lot of bad takes that don't get played. A lot of wrong, misses in terms of predictions that don't get played. So I appreciate that. But I recused myself. I went to my partner, Al's brother. But what actually came out of that is I learned tremendous information is meaningless without gut instinct. So it actually is going to marry us together even more. We have a stronger
season's
bond
done.
today. No, it's not true. There's 31 games left to be picked, including the game tonight.
Okay, 31 games.
Artsy, hang
Yeah,
on. I want
it's a lot
to
of
get to the
games.
meat.
It's a lot of swings.
I want to get to the meat of this because this donkey claims that he has a proposal, and this is going to be something ludicrous to try to get him even Steven with us. Owen Wilson. Mm-hmm. So go ahead and let's hear what you got.
Okay, here's the proposal, and there's two options. Gutless or not
Oh,
gutless.
no. I'm already,
gutless
you
or
can't
not
preface it with
gutless.
that. We're up 9.
I understand that, and I'm not going to put a 9-point proposal on the line. I will put a 3-point proposal. I think this is worthy of a 3-point proposal.
Okay.
Noodles,
This
you're
better
on
be
the roll.
good.
I'm
Be
Regis
good.
Philbin.
You're Regis Philbin. You're right down the middle, right?
Yeah.
You want everyone to be happy and win,
I
but
do.
you also have to sometimes give them the bad news.
Yeah.
You're a massive Seattle Seahawks fan. Your Seahawks are 6-6. My Packers are 6-6. 3 points, side bet, future. Better record at the end of the year. Packers, Seahawks.
No, have you seen
gutless.
Have you seen the Packers schedule?
So what? They got the youngest team
Dude,
in the
that's the
league.
dumbest thing. We
What,
just
that's
went
the
through the
proposal?
Packers schedule.
We gotta
They're
play
playing a team that me and Al's brother could make.
They got the youngest team in the league.
You think I'm
Me
gonna
and
throw
Al's
away?
brother could be on the front line in the Carolina Panthers.
Agreed.
Okay, I'll give you one other option.
We're gonna throw away. You know the Seahawks have the Niners, then the Eagles next.
Yes, that's right. And then 3 donkeys in between. They're going
You
3-2
play 5
minimum.
donkeys.
That's not true. They'll get at the Vikings, the Packers.
The Vikings
At the Vikings,
Who's
and then
the
the Bears.
Vikings starting quarterback right now?
Probably not Josh Duggan, but they're coming off a bye. Anything's possible. Okay,
You're the neutral man.
I've got another option,
Okay,
but
I
you
wanna
answer
hear
that.
the
No,
other one
Regis,
first.
go ahead.
Well-
Okay, let me throw out the other option, and then let that marinate.
Okay.
The Bills are also 6-6. You can take the Bills.
To do what?
Same thing. Record at the end of the
Look
year.
at their
Better than who?
schedule,
Who
you
cares?
moron.
You guys are
Bills
so
have a tough
gutless. The
schedule.
Bills have
I
Josh
was
Allen.
in here expecting you to
Me
give us
too.
points to
No,
take Jacksonville.
no. You guys have the
I mean, to
lead.
take Cincy.
You guys
Like,
have the lead.
let's compare what Luke Wilson, my partsy, offered you last week. It was more than reasonable.
No, it
And
but
it
you were
happened.
Tiger Woods at the Masters and the no balls open. You couldn't pull the trigger.
You're right about that, but he was He was contracting
But it's a
points off the
normal
board.
proposal. Your proposal is so ridiculous.
How is it
You
ridiculous?
went on
Look at the
Jay
Packers'
Onright's show
schedule.
and
Yes.
said the Packers will win.
I
I
know
was
that.
giving you that plus 3 points.
No, see, that's the issue.
Plus 3 points.
You were contracting points away. The line was 6. Process, TG, tremendous information, plus gut instinct. There's a process here.
You've alienated neutral Regis, a.k.a. Noodles. He's not even on your side now.
Noodles, what do you think about that? Bills versus Packers record at the end of the season.
there's
I don't
no
care
way
what
I'm
Jamie
taking
says.
that.
It's
You
a
guys
no.
are gutless.
It's
Hold
a
on.
no.
You guys are gutless.
Initially, the Packers,
This is-
the Packers and the Seahawks, I would have to say no because we just established that the Packers have a nice
soft
little
schedule.
A nice little schedule. Seattle's got some monsters coming up.
Okay.
Bills, do they have a gauntlet as
They
well?
got a
Yes.
tough schedule. They got the Cowboys.
Maybe
and
harder
at
than
Miami.
Seattle.
Yeah.
See,
They're at Kansas City.
yeah, there's some.
They got some tough games.
Kansas City's going to be pissed.
This
game.
guy is insane.
All right.
Okay.
Listen, you
So-
guys are gutless. I don't care. That's
It
fine.
is, but
Tweet that out.
you know what? If I was you, I would say, try it out. Take one or the other. But if you lose,
It's
you
concession.
you have to actually make a speech or something. You have to start the show. And
Okay,
say,
sure.
I would
It's gotta
agree
be-
No,
with
it's
that.
gotta
But
be
remember
way
last
worse.
time
He's
he
gotta
jumped
walk
into a
from-
speech?
There's
No.
got to be some form of concession where, like, it's.
He's got to do something outrageous, like walk from the Weston Harbor Castle to the 401 with no gear on. It's got to be bad.
and get arrested
Yeah,
right
exactly.
about Harbor 60.
That's what TSN
It's got to be
wants.
bad.
But like something like it has to be. What's the word? Like embarrassing or
That's what I just mentioned.
degrading or something. Like
Well, you guys have until Thursday. The
Dude,
deal's on the
we don't
table.
have
It doesn't
anything.
matter.
That deal
The
is
answer's
nothing.
no.
Well, I
you
would-
have to
all right.
come up with something that Luke described.
How is that
Alter
unfair?
the points. I don't know.
Alter
It's
the
just a
points and make us an
dumb
offer
idea.
about tonight's game.
No, because tonight's. I know what's going to happen tonight.
What's going to happen?
You guys are going to take Jacksonville like everyone else on earth.
Okay, then make us take Cincy.
I don't want you to take Cincy because I think what's going to happen is this is the beginning of the spin. This is a backdoor cover tonight for the Bengals. It's a lock, and then everything's going to start
It's a
moving in our
lock.
direction.
Do you
Next
even
week,
know who's playing quarterback for Cincy tonight?
No, I don't have a clue.
Who is
Jake
it?
Browning.
That's a problem.
UW star.
Yeah, like I think the Jags are going to hang 40 on
Don't-
tonight.
Oh, dog,
And win
don't
big.
listen to this man. He's trying to get us. We'll have that We're going to have this chat
All right.
because I'm not set on the Jags tonight.
Okay. All right, we'll get to your pick in a bit, but let's get into the games from yesterday
okay.
because you guys are gutless. You're not going to
Well,
take the
I think the deal's still.
It's on
you
the
have to let it
table.
marinate
marinating.
because, and then when you do it, I will say final answer.
Okay.
Who put this in the group chat? Was it Doogie? One team picks the Bills, the other the Packers to make the playoffs.
That's basically what I just proposed.
I like
Thank
Doogie,
you, Doogie.
but he's got to mind his own business right now.
As I put on Twitter an hour ago, Doogie's drunk in there right now. He's under the influence.
Like-
He put a poll out thinking you guys can come back.
You were like a stenographer, Doogie. I just said that, and then you wrote it down and sent it to Noodles.
Yeah, but
Thank you. You're on your game.
I
Doogie.
feel like it's a little bit like different though. +3 plus minus or -3.
I guess you're right because the variations of making the playoffs can be different.
Exactly.
Like technically, you could get in 9 and 8 versus
The
10 and
answer
7.
is no.
Okay, fine. It's out. It's out the door. I don't care. I'll beat you guys.
That's
straight
the
up.
worst. No, you won't.
Yes,
No,
we
it's
will.
the worst offer. It's just like saying, "Hey, do you want?" I don't even know how to compare
You
that
guys have no
to
stones.
another
It doesn't
offer.
matter.
No,
we need we just need a
doesn't matter.
modified offer.
Okay.
And something on the table that if you lose, like it's a full concession, you and Al's brother have to do
Run
something.
a marathon. Or
I'd
something.
like
Have
an
to do
I'd,
something.
I'd like an offer from Al's brother because
Okay.
it's probably going to be great in our favor, even though he doesn't realize it.
I know. I'll speak to my
He is the
partner.
cooler.
Okay.
I will say he's the ultimate cooler right now, which is
troublesome.
awful because.
But he's my guy.
I felt
I
like
love Al's
you were
brother.
coming back.
We were.
I felt like you were coming back, and then he walked in the room with tremendous information,
Yeah.
and
It
it,
hasn't
went
gone
south.
well. It hasn't gone
Hit the
well.
noise. What happened?
No,
Hit the
no.
noise.
Well,
Hit the
well,
noise.
He's in the corner right now, Al's brother. He's having a timeout. We'll see. We might bring him in a
I
little
just
bit
want
later.
to hear what he has to say. Like, is there an excuse? Is his information off?
Hayes
No.
and Co. is a fraud,
He's got all the information in the world. I was with him on the Denver pick. It was 3.5,
which
It
was
came down-
terrible. And I told you,
It's a 50-50 ball in the
was-
end. They're in the
they
red
had no
zone.
business being there.
It doesn't matter. In the end, Rusto's his third pick of the game was an awful pick. He had a guy underneath too. I think it was Sutton. It was anyway.
All right. One
That-
other
it
question
happened.
on the other side. is Bill Belichick pulling off a dignified tank? Like, is he doing this on purpose?
I could get behind that.
We were talking about it like
These are awful games.
it's like because I put some time into that game. I don't know why.
Oh my! I feel bad for you.
Well, I was hungover. I was laying there. Not like I was doing anything else. I was just laying. But I feel like he's had this like, okay, look competitive, but we're not giving up anything, but we're losing.
Yeah.
And he's, his monotone after, he's just kind of doing his thing. Like, it's almost like he's accepted.
What's hard for me, I mean, defensively, they're actually playing outrageously well.
They don't give up anything.
Yeah, it's
like
getting
9 points a game and they lose.
Yeah.
It's like 1940 football.
But like when you watch this team, what I don't get is like, okay, do they have any stars on offense? No. I mean, are there guys that are good NFL players? I would say yes.
Right.
But they all play in the NFL. Like, it's not like, oh, we have a team of misfits that barely made it out of high school here. Like, you're telling me they can't even be able to string 1 or 2 drives a game that lead to field goals?
Right.
Like, and he calls the game. Like, their offense right now is equivalent scheme-wise to what I would guess an average Canadian high school team would have in. I'm serious.
Tough.
What do? They run the ball, do some sort of quick game.
But that's the thing where it's curious to watch, because in the past, Bill Belichick, who was the master of adjustments at halftime especially, there's just no adjustment. It's like, just keep going out there and doing this garbage, and
Yes.
we're going to lose 10-6, and then maybe we have a chance at this guy. I don't know what they're doing, going after the kid at USC or what the hell the plan is. But the master of adjustments, there's no adjustment
At all.
And he refuses to say his quarterback's just not good enough to get any points. Like, he would always find a way. And mind you, the guy's had Brady for a long time, but he would never cave in and just say, this guy stinks. There would always be something else.
Agreed. And what also, like, and obviously this is two teams at the very opposite end of the spectrum. Like, you watch San Francisco last night, and it's like every other play is this dynamic setup. Okay, we got Juszczyk in, he's in motion. Okay, now we got Kittle. They're running over. We just throw a screen to Debo. He just broke that for 40. Oh, we just did a traditional drop back, and Ayuk's got a ball down the field. It's like, this team doesn't end here. Everything you can possibly think of, they've got going on.
By the way, Pardsy, I think Purdy should have MVP consideration.
100%.
He's on top of a lot of offensive quarterback stats. Like, everyone's just like, oh, that's Mr. Irrelevant. He shouldn't have nominated. I would give that guy some serious consideration.
I would. To me, again, it's funny, but if I had to pick my top, let's say top 5, and this is going to play over the next 5 weeks, no particular order, Purdy would be in there. Jalen Hurts is in there. Christian McCaffrey is in there. Tyreek Hill is in there, and Dak Prescott is in there. That's my personal top 5.
And I would say outside of Hurts, they all probably helped their case this weekend. Like, Tyreek just destroyed Washington.
Yes.
Dak had a massive statistical game. Purdy was great. McCaffrey basically did what he always does.
Now, and again, this is what gets weird about stats. When you watch yesterday's game, you don't think like, hey, Jalen Hurts wasn't that electric. But then if you just look at his numbers, ran for a TD, threw for 298, no picks.
Yeah.
So again, like, this whole stat game gets very weird, and it's easy for me to say this game, but what happens is when you have a season where you don't really get to dig into how all of these stats were gotten, that's why I don't love just like pointing towards stats, but I agree with O-Dog wholeheartedly. Brock Purdy 1,000% needs to be in the MVP conversation. Mm-hmm. I mean, the guy's, other than maybe 2 games, he's been absolutely incredible.
Like last night, he was
dynamite,
flawless, man. And he started slow, right? Like, they had a couple of 3-and-outs, I think, early.
Yes.
Like, nothing was cooking, and he just keeps his composure. Like, I'm really impressed with that. He seems to have control of the huddle, the moment, the situation. Like, nothing's too big for him. And yeah, that was a big, really impressive win. I mean, that was a statement by the Niners yesterday.
Statement. I don't think Philly is that bad. I think maybe a little bit of.
Play a lot of games in a short period of time.
3 games, and a lot of tough games. You play Kansas City.
What did you make of the security? I thought that security guard, he initiated that garbage on the sidelines, and then the player poked him and put his finger up his nose, and he gets thrown out of the game. I thought that was insane.
I thought it was one of the funniest things I've ever seen. I mean, if you would have told me coming into this thing that the Niners would have to trade Dre Greenlaw for Big Dom, the security guy, I would be out of my mind.
Well,
Now, I will say, if Greenlaw doesn't do the little nose poke thing, I don't know if anyone is even talking about this. Like, I get now, you kind of look back, it does
I know,
look
but
like
Luke,
a little
any
bit.
referee, that's why they have video replay. Look at it and realize Big Dom, whoever that guy is, pushed him first, and he just kind of said, "Don't do that," and his finger touched his face. Like, you don't throw a guy out of a game like that. That's insane.
I agree. If it was up to me, it wouldn't even have been a penalty either way. There's a small push. It's not very aggressive, more of a breakup. It's a small dink on the nose. Like, who cares? This is football. I could care less.
Luke, have you not noticed that, like, and it seems to be in every sport, but have you not noticed NFL refereeing has really become under the gun? Like, I've
terrible.
It's the worst I've ever seen.
Today the tweets were saying we actually have a serious problem here and it needs to be fixed.
Okay, I have a couple ideas of like how it gets to this point, but let's just run through the end of the 2-minute situation with Green Bay. And I want to say, first and foremost, I thought Green Bay deserved to win the game. Obviously, everyone talks about the PI, which was a blatant PI.
blatant pass interference.
Okay, but even before that, the
hit on Mahomes was a joke.
is a joke. He's inbounds. He's an elusive runner. That's not a 15-yard penalty. The man initiates contact while both feet are inbounds. But what's even more egregious of those two was the first catch or the second catch. It was MVS on the sideline where they said he got out of bounds.
Right.
The rule in the NFL in 2-minute drill, and trust me, Pete Carroll would say this every week for 8 years of my life, if you go out of bounds backwards, the clock will keep moving.
Right.
So it was either he got stopped with forward progress, which is in bounds, or he went out of bounds backwards. It was clear as day. And they're like, no, we'll stop the clock. I mean, even what was the game, which, by the way, this was another wild one that isn't talked about. I think it was, God, what was the game where Buddy kicked a field goal and the time expired in the first quarter? I think it might have been the Dolphins. Now,
I can't remember.
there was a game this week, I'm sure someone will tweet it in,
Yeah.
where the refs got to look at the clock. And for gambling purposes, the over-under was 9.5 and 7 points were scored. Clock hits 00.
And they didn't blow it.
Refs aren't paying attention. Field goal gets snapped. They kick it, okay, and make it. And I'm like, this is insane.
Some guy in a tracksuit's going to show up at the ref's house.
No
Yeah,
question.
It cost them a lot of money.
Crushing.
And I wonder if it's getting to the point where, and Pete would bring these refs in all the time. So like during training camp, we'd have a day, and it was kind of annoying, but every year Pete would have one of the NFL official crews come in, and basically they would tell us.
Smart idea, by the way.
Very smart. And they would tell us, okay, we'd have the whole projector screen on the thing, and he'd say, if you're playing this position, here's the ref that is watching you. And then he'd go right to that ref in our meeting and say, what are you looking for defensive holding? Or what do you, and they would say like, okay, our thoughts are, what we're being told from the league is if we see this, throw the flag. If we see this, don't throw the flag. Like they try and make it black and white for these guys. Yeah. But to me, it's taking away some of the feel of the game. So yes, they're going to make mistakes, but they're almost trying to make these guys so perfect that they're terrible. I mean, it's insane how bad they have been.
I just don't know how, outside of reviewing everything, which nobody wants, this is what it is. These guys are bigger, faster than ever. There's also new rules and trying to protect everybody. Like the reason why that got flagged was because it was Mahomes, even though he was a runner at that point.
Yeah.
But it was because it was Mahomes.
Jordan Love's not getting that call.
No. To say nothing of A.J. Dillon or any other running back in the league, wide out. The only reason that got called was because it was Mahomes. And it was a big hit. It was a violent collision.
But it was shoulder to chest.
Shoulder to shoulder. And Mahomes is trying to get yardage late.
Yeah.
He's trying to get out of bounds. It was a joke of a call, but it was because of Mahomes. So these refs are dealing with all these different things where there's one player on the field or two guys on the field, the two quarterbacks that are treated differently than everyone else.
Right.
Yeah.
And then on top of it, you're supposed to be policing, there's just so many different plays that happen so quickly. Did he get in bounds? Did he catch it? Was it a push? Was it a hold? And you know the nature of the game. There's penalties on every single snap.
Yes.
Every snap, you can find something and say, that guy's holding right now. Like if you want to.
And this is a place of ignorance for me, but is that a high-paying job, these refs?
Not sure.
They're not full-time. They
That's what I
historically
mean.
have not been.
Right. So those guys work once a week. And during the week, they're accountants, they're work at Kinko's, who knows what they do for a living. But This is we just
I would think
established
Noodles, they're making enough money where they're not
They're
working
making
at
good
Walmart
money,
or something.
but like I'd have to look this up. But up in like 5-6 years ago, this was a part-time job.
It was a part-time job. That's my
Yes.
point. My question is, and this is why this is where I'm heading. We were just debating whether Taylor Swift or the NBA were bigger. They're two of the biggest entities on the planet right now. And you have people that are part-time employees or not. It's not the elite making a ton of money. That should be a high-paid job because
it should
you
be
are
a high-paid
deciding
job with the amount of money people are gambling
exactly.
on it.
That's my point. Is you can't. What you've got is everyone makes a boatload of money except for the people who are officiating it.
Agreed.
So like that should be a high-paying job where their full-time job is we're going to pay you $500,000 a year to be a ref in the league, but you better damn well be the best ref.
That's
Totally
the issue.
And
though.
every day is reviewing plays and all that. You don't just show up. And again, I'm speaking from a place of ignorance here. I'm sure they put a lot of work into it. I'm not trying to, kick them in the junk.
Kick them.
But
They're refs.
I feel like it's such a huge entity, and they're not gonna. They should put money into that.
I think you're preaching to the choir, and you're right. Again,
I totally agree.
The issue is
Frustrating.
every game's different, every play's different, and it happens so quickly. Where how often do we look at replay, slow it down, and say that wasn't a head-on-head,
Right.
Or that was a horse collar, and then live, it's like, man, you just got to accept they're going to miss some stuff.
I agree
Like-
they will miss some stuff, but I also
And that
think
was a makeup call on
was for
MVS. That was a makeup because they knew they screwed them on the Mahomes call.
And
Right.
I'm telling you,
And the out of bounds.
the out of bounds thing is 20
Just
seconds.
as bad. Yeah, that runs off 15. They had no timeouts.
Yes.
Yes.
Like in that situation,
Egregious.
it's like it changes
Right.
every play you can actually call.
And that's not coming up enough because everyone's yelling about MVS, who may have missed it anyway. Like, remember a couple of weeks ago, Mahomes dropped one in his pocket and the guy dropped it anyway. But there were calls that went against Green Bay last night, too. It is loud. It's always going to be loud. The later into the season, it gets louder. The playoffs, it's extreme.
Right.
You try to work on it as much as you can, but I don't want to. I'm not an advocate for more instant replay and more review. I don't want to see that.
If my point is if you've got great referees and there's different tiers, and I'm sure there's younger people coming in and pushing through, the best of the best should be making bank.
Yes.
And they should have that feel because they've known it, been doing it for many years, and they don't need to go to instant replay because they've seen it a million times and judged it a million times, and they're like, I know how to manage this game. I know what the difference between these plays are. And people are sending in. It's about $200,000 a year.
$200,000.
Which
There
is
is
decent
some full time, some part time.
But that's my point.
Nowhere near, like you said.
You got
what it
guys
should be.
making $40 million a year,
Yeah.
$50 million a year. Like these refs should be full time, and their whole job should be trying to perfect their craft.
Yeah.
Yes. And where I go, especially for the NFL, is because of the few amount of games. One game is a wild difference. And I always go back to the second year I played. We got the 1 seed that year.
Right.
And we had this crazy comeback against the Pack in the NFC Championship.
Awful.
I figured you would hate that.
Mike McCarthy.
Yes. But the reason it was in Seattle was because Green Bay got jammed up by Buffalo, of all teams, late in that year. Buffalo was very bad.
Yeah.
If we play that game in Lambeau, we lose by 20. And the reason I'm saying this is you look right now at the AFC. After tonight, assuming nothing wild happens, there's going to be Jacksonville at 9-3. The Ravens are 9-3.
Miami.
Miami's 9-3. One of these teams is not going to have home field advantage.
Right.
And it's like, hey, you can track this stuff back to, if you're a Chiefs fan, again, I thought they got away with too early. But if they win yesterday, that could be the difference between a bye. That could be the difference between every game being at Arrowhead right until Las Vegas for the Super Bowl. Like, these things are amplified because there's so few games.
Right.
Well, and Patrick Mahomes never played a playoff game on the road. Everything's been at home.
Yeah,
For his career until he gets to the Super Bowl. And this year, I think he's going to be playing some road games. But I wanted to ask you about, how you look back on the Jordan Love stuff, where you were still, I believe, in the league at that time. So I'm not sure you had a reaction. But when the Packers traded up to take him,
Yeah.
it was bedlam. You would remember that. Everyone was freaking out. You still got Rodgers. What are you doing?
Yeah.
You never draft a wideout in the first round. You got to help him out. And I think it's pretty clear now you look back on it. They thought Rodgers was done. He wasn't. He won back-to-back MVPs after that. But if this guy is the real deal and not a superstar, but let's say he is on average for the next decade the 12th best quarterback in the league, It's a brilliant play. Brilliant pick because you're going to go from Favre to Rodgers to Love. Go ask Bill Belichick how his transition plan's working out. Not very well. I remember talking about it at the time, saying that's the one position where you have to treat it differently. You have to have a transition period. You have to be planning for the future. And he looked great last night. He looked great in Detroit last week. It's early.
He did.
But
and
he looks good,
your
Jordan
point,
Love.
But where my head goes is you said it. It wasn't like Aaron was washed. The guy went back-to-back NFL MVPs. Mm-hmm. If you can't win with the NFL MVP in back-to-back years, like if that's not the right moment to win, what are you doing? Like I look at the Rams, and obviously they look better too right now. But a couple years ago, there were all these articles like the Rams basically sold the farm. They'll have no future, blah, 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 just to win the Super Bowl. Well, they won the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
You know, that's the goal. And it's like McVay's got a Super Bowl. He went to 2. He's got 1. Like, you can't ever take that away from him. He's won the ultimate prize. Now, I think they'll end up back in the playoffs as well. But that's kind of where my head goes, where it's like, I get it for anybody else, but when you have Aaron Rodgers, who still can and obviously did play at an MVP level, load it up and see if you can win another one.
See, yeah, listen. I hear what you're saying, and I just don't think that one player was going to make a difference against that Niners team at Lambeau, right? Against Detroit Week 18 last year. Maybe it would, but Rodgers was the guy that struggled, not that one piece that was lacking. Right. But this has got to be terrifying if you're a Bears fan and you haven't had anyone relevant since like Jim McMahon, and it might go Favre, Rodgers, Love.
Yeah.
Like that's got to be terrifying for everyone in the NFC, for that matter, that these guys are the best quarterbacks in the league, give or take, for 30 years, and now they got another kid who they let grow.
Yeah.
And he looks damn good right now.
Yeah.
Like he outplayed Patrick Mahomes last night.
Speaking of the NFC North, if I can float a theory here, all year I've been wondering how come the Lions are good. This franchise, this organization, it's been damned since the dawn of time. And I'm scratching my head wondering, like, could there be something going on? Could they have turned the table? And it hit me like a ton of bricks, the punishment that the Lions fans will be getting this year. It happened yesterday. I was like, that's why they're good. Because I knew it couldn't be the real thing.
Right.
Matt Stafford is going to end up playing the Detroit Lions round 1 of the playoffs at Ford Field, and he's going to throw for 450 yards and 4 TDs and set this franchise back another 100 years.
Yeah.
And now you've got Jordan Love and the Packers.
You're right.
So they might not ever win the division again. And that's what's going to happen. I just want to warn Lions fans now, brace for impact because your hearts will be broken by the man who you mistreated for whatever it was, 12 years.
That's right.
How come
Setting
the
up that way.
Rams are like everyone? I saw Dan Orlovsky talking about them today. Well, I literally haven't heard one person talk about the Rams all year. And now all of a sudden they're going to do all this damage.
Yeah, Dan Orlovsky loves Matthew Stafford. They played together in Detroit. That's part of it.
There is,
but they're winning ball games, though.
But
you got to give them credit.
But Hayes, have we talked about them once this year on this show?
Well, they were
not
supposed
once,
dude. Supposed to be a transition season, a bad year, and it's
very strange for me because I don't know. I mean, I do know why he gets kind of bogged down with stats. He's been hurt a little bit, but as far as talent and being able to process the game, Matthew Stafford is 1, 2, 3 elite conversation. The year I played with that man, he had a cannon attached to his arm. His arm never got tired. It was like a rubber arm. It was unbelievable. And he went through progressions like nobody I've ever seen. So I always kind of do wonder, like, why does Matthew Stafford not get the same respect as maybe an Aaron Rodgers, somebody like that? And to be honest with you, I think it comes down to his personality. As terrible as that sounds, it's like Aaron.
He's a soft dude. Like he's
a nice man. He's kind of a bit fratty. Like he's not really. He is.
Like define fratty.
He drinks some beers with the boys. Has his hat on back.
That?
I think it's
like
great.
He would wear a pink polo and beige khakis to a cocktail party.
I think in
the
Luke,
early 2000s, my man would have
the
the hair and a Metallica T-shirt. And guzzle vodka.
So he's got that, like a sweater on wrapped around.
He's not an egomaniac like a lot of the quarterbacks I've played with.
Yeah.
It's a little awkward when you sit
It's not a bad thing, Parts.
No, it's not at all. To be honest with you,
different.
I think guys play harder and love him in the locker room more, but it's harder to write about. So now all of a sudden it's like Matthew Stafford's not going to walk into a game wearing a $10,000 suit and a top hat that is the great pick for the Amazon primetime moment. You see the pregame outfit. He's going to come in. He's going to look professional. He's going to have a nice watch on. He's going to carve you up for 300 points.
Yeah.
After the game, he's not going to give you any hot sound bites. He's going to say, we played really well. Bam, 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 bam. He was the first quarterback I ever played with, and I'll never forget this, where I caught a 5-yard stick in OTAs. Ball was a little bit, maybe 6 inches on my back shoulder. Caught the ball, turned upfield. Let's say it's 8-9 yards, good play. I walked out to the huddle. He said, hey, that's my fault. I got to get that ball in front of you. We could have got an extra couple yards. This is the first time I ever heard a quarterback say, hey, that's my fault, and it was a completion. Like, you love to play for the guy, but he's like the ultimate teammate, which I don't think is marketable, which kind of goes to why he's not as talked about as some of these other guys.
Partsy, do you know who
love the
Dougie
guy.
Gilmore is?
Of course.
He wants Hayes and Al's brother to picket downtown when they lose something in Batman and Robin gear. That's what he wants them to do. Giller wants you guys.
Dougie Gilmore. You can't say no to Dougie Gilmore.
No.
Okay, but what's on the table here? What is the proposal? What are we?
Hayes,
are you taking Seahawks?
can you be sane for a second? That proposal you came up with, it's like saying to somebody, hey, can you give me your Bentley and I'll let you have my K card. We'll trade straight up. Like that was insane.
No, it's
that
not.
was insane.
They're both 6-6, right? The
I know,
Packers are the
but
youngest team
looking
in the
at the
league.
You tried to play on my
dude.
Seahawks.
It's your
hard.
team.
Yeah, and I know my team.
Okay, well, I'm just saying, man. I know my team, too. They're the youngest team in the league. Yes, they're red hot. I'm worried that now they're going to start getting a bit of an ego, get ahead of themselves.
I'm not taking that deal.
All right.
No.
fine.
We play
it's
San
insane.
Francisco. Did you see them yesterday?
Yeah, I understand that. They're a great team. But that, I think, is week 18. They'll be mailing it in by that point. It is
We
week
play
18.
them next week.
They play them twice, don't they?
No, we already played them once.
Was it the Rams that play them twice?
I don't know,
Someone
but
plays
it's not
them
the
twice.
Seahawks. We play Philly the week after that.
I think the Rams play them twice because the Rams are in tough,
I'm worried
too.
about the Pack taking their foot off the gas.
Exactly.
against the Giants
Youngest
because
team in
they're
the
getting
league.
Full of themselves.
If, you know what? If we were tied
All
right
right.
now, I'd consider it. But we're +9. You got to come with some heat
Okay,
here.
well,
You gotta-
Dougie
you gotta-
Gilmore.
yeah, it's
Well, what does
just-
Dougie Gilmore want, though? I'm not just going to walk around
wants
downtown
3
without his
points.
He
brother.
wanted 2 things. He wanted 2 things: for you to become reasonable, and if you lose,
That's him adding his own words.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's no way Doug Gilmore's
and if you, I'll read it right now. Be reasonable and dressed up as Batman and Robin. They have to picket downtown when they lose.
What are they picketing?
Yeah, what are we picketing?
Standing outside?
just
like-
with signs that say
All
we're
right.
losers.
You can say
We're
Hayes
picketing
and Co.
ourselves?
is not a fraud.
Say,
That'll
no, you
because
can
everyone
say
will think
we
you're
are
a fraud.
frauds.
Okay.
Yeah, we are frauds.
We are
Picket
frauds.
signs and
Batman
Batman
and
and Rod, like tight gear.
Then
you
it's
and
got to
Al's
be
brother.
more than 3. That's a 4 or 5.
supports that. But okay,
I'll
but
make
we
you a
still-
deal
but
right
we
now.
still
That-
think- What
yeah,
are we?
what's
I'll
that?
make you
Yeah.
a deal right now. You give us 3 points on the Bengals tonight, on Jake Browning and the Bengals.
No, I'm not touching this game, Tony.
What do you mean?
Because the Bengals they still have a winning culture. I think their coach is pretty good. This is your game,
See,
man.
he just made another eagle.
You
and
gotta
2
make your
birdies.
pick.
Luke, do you know what golf tournament? You know what golf tournament?
You're telling me that the number 1 team in the AFC is not going to cover 9.5 tonight?
It's your pick.
I'm asking you.
No, I'm not saying
No,
anything.
no,
man. I'm
you're
not
the
putting-
gutless one.
No, I'm not putting Batman and Robin suits with a picket line on this game tonight.
Yeah,
like that's
that's
got to
not
be a
worth it.
separate futures
I think
bet.
it's got to be a futures bet that,
Oh,
that has.
I'm not going to lie to you.
side
I'll tell you what
future.
game we should do it on, and it's your pick.
What's that?
The Thursday nighter, baby. Patriots versus Steelers. Have fun picking that.
That's an awful game. Kenny
Mitch
Pickett's
Trubisky,
out.
Mitch Trubisky versus
Gabbett-
Bailey Zappi.
Gabbett-
I kind of like his hands, though,
Babbitt
Mitch
Cam will be
Trubisky.
throwing like
He's
but
a
you know,
hand model. He's
they're gonna
Costanza.
They're going to get 7 points against the Patriots.
That's the
I
porta
know.
potty bowl.
That
is
is.
the porta potty
Well,
bowl.
when I looked, the Steelers were, I think, a 6-point favorite.
yeah,
and I-
2 field goals.
Yeah.
That's what it was last.
Probably
yesterday.
a push. It'll be 6-0 Steelers. The worst game you've ever seen in your life. All right, listen, we have until Thursday to establish, but it's got to be a side bet futures that kind of
All right.
factors into everything. And if you guys lose, you got to go out there as Batman and
Lose
Robin.
not the bet, the entire series.
I understand that. I understand
There's
that.
31 games left. That's what you said? And we're
I have to
+9.
speak with my partner, Al's brother, who evidently is too busy to join us today. I guess
Oh, he's
Al's
too
brother-
busy.
Now he can't join us today. I'm getting worried about my brother.
Unavailable.
I'm really
Might be on the
concerned.
waiver wire right
I'm
now.
really concerned. I love Al's brother. He's my partner, and we will go down with the ship, and we will come back and storm back. As he said in the group chat yesterday, it's 28-3 right now. 28-3. Mark Wahlberg's leaving. See you later, Mark. Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch are leaving.
The problem is, I watched
And we're
that
gonna storm
game.
back
I
and
know
win that
Dan
game.
Quinn. I know what they did wrong.
Yeah.
I'm not going to make
No.
the same mistakes as
You're
my guy
Dan
Dan
Quinn.
Quinn.
He's Kyle Shanahan or Matt Ryan. It doesn't matter. And I'm Belichick, and Al's brother's Tom Brady. That's what's coming. All right, who are you guys taking tonight? You got
Partsy, hear me out on this, all right? And you tell me, this is another toss-up. It's 9.5. Obviously, everyone wants Jacksonville. Jacksonville's going to win the game. Couple stats I want to throw out there. I don't want to sound like Al's brother. Jacksonville's defense is very middle of the pack. They're very, very middle of the pack. One of the bad things Jacksonville has not done this year has done poorly this year is run the ball. There's this EPA stat where they're like 29th in the league as far as running the football. Where I get nervous about us getting jammed up tonight is this is the perfect time for Jacksonville to be like, hey, we got to try and figure out this run game. We're playing a team that's beaten up. We have Jake Browning at the helm. Let's just hand the ball off to ETN and keep rolling with it. And does that equate to them blowing this team out? No. The next thing I'll say is Jacksonville, I think, plays the second most zone coverage in the NFL. Do they play it? Yeah, I know you see you shaking your head. Do they play it well? So. They're a middle-of-the-pack team. Zone coverage. Will Zach Taylor be sitting here like, yo, Jake Browning, we're just going to dink and dime, kind of try and control this game and lose by 7? Or will it be, hey, we're down 12, fourth quarter, it's a garbage backdoor cover?
All right, who are you picking?
I'm going to give you one thing. Hang on a sec.
Talk to me.
I don't care about the time. You got to consider one thing. Cincy, the mental element of their starting quarterback, and they know their season is over, I don't think it takes a lot to push them over the edge, man, and blow them out.
I hear
Go
you,
ahead and
O-Dog.
make the selection.
I hear you, but they're in their head, their season isn't over. They win tonight, they're right back. They're 6-6.
All right, go ahead. Who are you taking?
They got Kurt Browning at quarterback.
It's Jake Browning. He's a UW star. We're taking the Bengals, baby. Let's go.
I love it. This is the Tim Boyle game.
Let's go.
This is Tim Boyle.
No, it's not. 9.5, right,
Doogie? Tim Boyle.
It's a 10 or 9.5?
9.5. That was the exact same spread.
I have to say,
same spread.
Look at O-Dog. He's mad at me.
There's a reaction over there that's not in there.
O-Dog, I'll listen. I'm not going to hold it against you. If you want to go over my head right now, you can. I blew the Eagles pick. And I'm telling you, I won't hold it against you. You want to go over my head, you can do it.
I love
it. You look me right in the eye right now and say, I got this, and this is the right pick.
I got this, and this is the right pick.
Let's go!
All right. Lock it in. You know what I love about this? Tim Boyle and the Jets were a 9.5-point favorite. Or 9.5-point dog.
Yeah.
And that's what started Hayes and Bro down a horrible, horrible road.
Yeah.
This is going to be the opposite of that. 9.5 points. Bengals, Jags win massive tonight.
Final answer?
Yes.
Oh,
Final answer. This is your Tim Boyle moment. Tim Boyle. Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay. You guys are
final
on
answer
tonight. Final answer. Proposal will be made by Thursday. We'll talk. I got to talk to my representative, Al's brother.
Can I propose something right now? If we win this, we get to make the proposal. If we lose,
sure, you can
make
it. You can make proposals all
well,
you
your
want.
proposals are trash.
This is the
as far
first
as I'm concerned, they're outstanding.
50-minute segment. In
I know we got to roll.
radio.
We got to roll here. All right. Good luck tonight, Tim Boyle. On your ass.
Jake Browning.
OverDrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 4.
We're getting all kinds of ideas from celebs on what the punishment for UNL's brother should be. Jerry D sent me a note and said they should do stand-up on a busy Saturday night.
That
I
actually
could
would
see
be.
you really panicking
That would be
in
awesome.
that scenario.
Could you imagine the sweat on myself and Al's brother if we were up there bombing, which we would. We're not comedians.
So they could be the feature for Jerry. Like, Jerry
Yeah.
does a show somewhere, but he sells out everywhere. I don't know how many.
See, that's the thing. I'll do it if Jerry lets us be the opener, because then we're dragging him down with us.
Dude,
he wants
would
us
never allow that.
Well, obviously. So I can't accept his.
No, I think it would be awesome.
I'll try stand up one. I could do that. I could give it a shot.
Dude,
Oh, yeah.
I could
you
give
had
it
a
shot.
difficult time saying, pal, you got to take a lap.
Yeah, you were a little stiff on that. It was
stiff.
pointed out to me too. They were like, "Why was
Awful.
Hayes so stiff on that?" I'm like, I don't know. I didn't even notice it until I watched it after.
I cannot act. Like it was really stiff, but it was awkward because I was leaning back, and that was for the cold open for the panel last week, and I don't know. It wasn't good. Everyone else was great.
O's line was great.
Yes, O was good. Douthie was natural. I thought Al's brother knocked it out of the park
he
with
was
his
great.
acting. He was great.
He was great.
And I was like a cameo, an actor that
These
has no idea what he's
pretzels were
doing.
making me thirsty. That's what you were.
Exactly.
Like you were just so random. Like it's like because we were off air. You were like, didn't I say like tell him to take a lap? Mm-hmm. And you were like, hey, you got to take a lap.
But that's how he should have said it. Just take a lap, like how you would say it sitting right there.
Buddy, take a lap.
Yeah, it was really stuff.
Or it could have been like, hey, you're not going to screw this up for me. Take a lap, pal. Just say it like, but you got into the old, I'm not going to let you, or you were like, you got to take a lap.
It was really stuff.
Actually,
we'll
Joe
play
from the bridge just pointed. Remember we had that.
The source commercial.
The source commercial.
Or my acting, like, we were all not very good. O had, like, no lines.
Yeah, O had 0 lines.
You said nothing.
In it? I don't even
Yeah,
remember.
because I was watching you two butcher it around.
Yeah,
I
Steph
thought I was
wasn't
sharp in that one.
You were not great either.
I was not good.
But I was really bad. Like, it was
we got to
really
dig that
awful.
up. Was that on TV or on radio?
It was. That was a TV and radio thing. Like, they were playing that. That was in circulation.
Pull those out, Joe, from the bridge, and let's give
We
those
can go
a read.
over it in the 6 o'clock hour.
Okay, we'll try to find some time for breaking down the source commercial compared to the cold open of the panel. A few nights ago, the Board of Governor meetings are going on in Seattle, and I guess Brendan Shanahan had a little stop and chat with Gino Reda.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and we'll play it at 6 before we get to CJ because Gino, I'm sure, was asking an abundance of questions, but he did ask about Nylander, and it's quieted down significantly, as you knew it would. Like, Willie is still – I thought he was pretty good the other night, but he was at the forefront of the mistake that ended up costing the game, albeit in overtime. And he's probably going to end up with, like, 40 goals and 85 points.
Right,
like he did last year. Like, he's not going to have 115 points, and he's not going to end up being one of the 5 best players in the league.
Right.
He's just going to be a really good player that's like the 34th best player in the league.
Yeah,
and
nothing wrong with that.
It's really good. And it's a strong case that he's going to make, and he deserves to get paid. And yet it's going to be a number that I think the Leafs are going to have a big say in terms of not overpaying or getting ridiculous. Because it's already quieted down.
It has.
You start the
Whatever,
season
I'm
with
just
17
interested
straight.
in watching a good team.
Yeah, well, that's another part of it.
I'm tired of just people being in love with the idea of 4 players making zillions of dollars and the team's success. Now, I don't care what it looks like. I would rather have, I don't know. I'm just tired of the idea of sinking so much money into 4 different players and being handcuffed in so many different scenarios. Like what we talked about earlier with the LA Kings, adding great players every year, doing different things. The flexibility is gone. Gone.
Yet, it sounds like they're committed to continuing the same process, right? Like Matthews has been done. Tavares has another year. Marner's got another year, and they are publicly announcing they're trying to get Willie done, and Willie's going to cost them at least $9 million minimum.
Yeah, it's
probably
gonna be 9+.
Yeah. So it's next year. There's going to be $45 million tied up in the 4 players, more than likely. Now, maybe something changes between now and then, but that sounds like where it's going. All right, Steve Phillips in the next hour as well. The winter meetings are starting down in Nashville. I guess Ross Atkins is speaking with the media this hour, so we'll get you an update on what Ross has to say. Probably more importantly, what he won't say about Ohtani, Soto, etc. That's coming up in the final hour. Overdrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 4. All right, TSN 1050's Leafs lineup. Your chance to win Leaf tickets every week, all season long. Every day we announce a current or former Maple Leaf player. Fridays, you have a chance to call in and name the Leaf lineup. This week, we're giving away a pair of tickets to see the Leafs take on the Penguins December 16th. That's a big game. That's Kyle Dubas making his return.
Back in the building.
That's a Saturday night as well. It's a Saturday night. Leafs Pittsburgh, man. I love it. And plus, we're throwing in a $250 Vanilla Visa prepaid card with each pair of tickets to make it the ultimate game night. Vanilla Visa prepaid cards are available for purchase at Petro-Canada. Today's player of the day. It's a really random player. Scott Harrington.
Left-handed D?
Scotty
The guy played like
Harrington.
Left-handed D.
14
Scott Harrington.
games.
I think he played in Windsor as an OHL guy.
London.
Was it London? Okay, there you go. Scott Harrington.
London.
This week we're giving away a pair of tickets again to see Leafs Penguins.
He went on to Columbus, didn't he?
Yeah,
He
I think he
played-
actually played pretty well
a
there.
long time there.
Yeah, he did actually play pretty well there.
Yeah, he's played 255 games in the NHL.
Pretty good. How many with the
Pittsburgh.
Leafs?
15.
Yeah, Doogie. All right.
That's thin.
It's still he's alumni. You get a jacket, you can get up
be in
there, right?
Be in there with a coat on.
Yeah, you can get in there.
Penny pesto.
Penne pesto. Yeah.
Love it.
Always a great spread. Always.
It was awesome.
Yeah, it's great.
There was lasagna in there the other night.
You what your
I didn't have any.
Yes, you
I'll
did.
tell you,
buddy
there's only
Creepy
one
Neil was
person
in
in the
there.
world. There's only one
Did you
type-
saw Did you see Neil in there?
I did. He was lurking. I
He
saw
was
him.
just floating around in the background. I had
There's anyone
I
in the
did.
alumni box in that building wants to talk to more than a hockey player, and Noodles brought him his buddy, the rock star. People want to talk to a rock star, man.
Yeah, he's. Just,
It's just something. They see a rock star, they're like, I don't know. They can't stop. They got to talk to a rock
Yeah.
star, man.
yeah, he
It's
was-
so unique, right? Like it
It
really
is
is
because
so
they're like,
unique.
I have sat in my car and sang so many of that guy's songs. I need to go up and tell him how much I love that.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only guy that can trump even Dougie in that box is a rock star.
Ooh, that's
was-
that's a good poll
there was
question.
some star power in that box.
Rockstar or Doug Gilmore? Dougie's trying to jam me up badly, trying to get me to dress like Batman and Robin
Hey,
with Al's brother
Do
downtown.
the right thing, and you don't have to.
Yeah, we'll talk about it. All right, I'm going to consult with Al's brother. We'll figure it out. All right, Chris Johnston coming up. We'll hear from Brendan Shanahan. He had a quick stop and chat with Gino on Nylander, his situation. We'll play that. We'll get into it. And Steve Phillips on the Jays, Ohtani, Soto, etc. Overdrive continues. TSN 1050 and on the TSN app.